Hello guys, and welcome to Season 2 of the Penny Podcast. I'm Andrés. I'm in 12th grade, and I'm the Coppell Student Media Web Producer.
And I'm Camden Southwick. I'm in 12th grade, and I'm a staff photographer.
If this is your first time tuning in, the Penny Podcast is a weekly podcast that incorporates interview, conversational, and communal elements.
Now, starting off, this week, our CSM highlight goes to Armand Merchant for his piece, CHS Speaks, How has the return of Principal Miss Springer changed the environment at CHS? Published under our opinion section. His piece opens with, at the end of 2018-2019 school year, former Coppell Middle School East Principal Laura Springer announced she would return to Coppell High School after serving as principal of Coppell Middle School East for the past 12 years. Students and faculty express how her presence has shifted the environment at CHS. To read the rest of Armand's piece, head over to coppellstudentmedia.com.
This week on One Shot, Nardwuar, the forever-eccentric interviewer, has been honored by his hometown, Vancouver, for his contributions for the music industry. The city declared Sunday, September 29th as Nardwuar Day, and the Human Serviette was also inducted into the BC Entertainment Hall of Fame the same day. Camden, how often do you watch interviews with celebrities?
Surprisingly often. Just, you see them on some newsreels, and then there's shows like TMZ where they love to interview and talk with celebrities. So
oh yeah, I think that I use YouTube the most for watching celebrity interviews.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Now on to a new segment titled the Capel Discussion. It is a free-form, unedited discussion which provides a view of Coppell related topics. Please tell us your name, your grade, and your position on staff.
Hi, I'm Claire Clements. I am in 12th grade, and I am the executive editorial page editor. So today we're going to be discussing more about Coppell growth and CISD growth. So my first question is, with the new elementary schools such as Canyon Ranch, the New West, CHS 9, and other changes that have been coming to CISD, how do you think CISD is going to continue adjusting to this growth, especially in regards to their resources?
I think that they'll definitely start introducing technology to these schools at the same rate that they've introduced technology to Coppell High School. As we got the new iPads and as we got the new kind of like Vivatech boards, I think we'll see the same with these new schools, and we'll have like a bigger focus on technology, and that's where like most of the resources will be, because it just makes sense, like the progression of school resources. We've had progression from paper to, we moved over to smart boards, and now we've moved over to iPads, and I think that that's just going to continue, and that's what the term resources is going to refer to.
Yeah, I agree with you that a lot of the resources with these changes is going to be focused on the new technology that we're implementing, but I also think that these changes are going to be tough on CISD at first, just because with all these new schools are going to have to be making other changes, like getting new teachers, new staff, and just getting all these classrooms and stuff filled. Mm-hmm. That's also going to involve, because when there's just a brand new school, they have to figure out which students are going where. So you're going to be redrawing boundary lines and doing all these things for these schools. So I think it'll be a tough adjustment on them at first, but yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of good changes coming.
Definitely.
My concern with that, though, is that with introducing new technology, new teachers, just really anything with these new schools, is that it's going to have to raise already pretty high taxes for Coppell residents, as well as residents in areas that are CISD districts, such as Valley Ranch. They already have very high taxes, and so with the introduction of more and more just resources that will require more and more money, I feel that Coppell residents might not be very happy with having to pay even more taxes than they already do. I know, especially, at least in my family, there was kind of this question of, for example, paying for the new iPads. Although it wasn't an exorbitant price or anything, it was still $25 on top of taxes that we already pay that goes towards CISD. So there's kind of this question of, why are we giving even more money when we're already giving a lot of our income towards CISD? And so I think that, yes, with introductions of Valley Ranch and Cypress Waters, especially because they constantly advertise we're a CISD area, I'm worried that more areas will have to pay higher taxes.
That makes sense, and that's an issue that's been completely brought upon by this growth of resources. I mean, it exists solely because of that, honestly, and not even just technology. I mean, in general, you can see that once the school district starts to grow, it starts to get more expensive. So it just makes sense that the taxes would start to grow up and raise.
Yeah, they're all very valid concerns, just because the bond plan being used to make all these renovations and stuff only includes money for editing the schools, like getting a new flooring in and changing the classrooms and stuff. And it doesn't have anything set aside for these fees and a lot of the technology that we're getting to be used to implement in the classrooms.
I'm wondering if I was reading our executive copy and design editor, Nick Pranske, his enterprise story on 60 years at CISD, and he mentioned that basically Coppell is landlocked. There's no way for us to physically grow our land space because we're surrounded by like Louisville, Flower Mound, Carrollton, Irving, all of these places. So there's no way for us to physically grow and accommodate more homes that can contribute to these taxes, which could therefore keep our taxes low. But at the same time, our population is steadily growing, even though we're not, especially our population of younger kids who are attending school, that especially is growing. So there's no way for us to accommodate for this growth without increasing taxes, or either figuring out like realigning district lines, which is something that is very, controversial, and people can get very angry about if one year they're a CISD home and then the next year they're Irving ISD or Carrollton or wherever.
Exactly. Is there a need for a new high school with this growth? And how will that affect Coppell Spirit families who grew up knowing that they would go to Coppell?
So, coming into Coppell my 9th grade year, the reason that we moved to Coppell was for the high school, because it was such a great high school. And I know that kids who grew up in Coppell their whole life, K through 12, like they were always Coppell High School. It's kind of the thing that I feel like unites Coppell. Every Friday night people are going to the football games, and CHS is just such a big part of Coppell culture. And so I feel like introducing a new high school, while it might definitely accommodate for population issues we're having within like CHS, that I feel like a lot of people might be very angry with that if their kid who was told their whole life, oh, you're going to go to Coppell High School, now suddenly has to go to a new school that isn't guaranteed to have the academics program, the journalism program, just the general academic programs that we have here.
Yeah, and also to sort of play devil's advocate to Claire's point, I think that there would be, people would be mad about it to, have to go to some other high school after, sort of, waiting to go to Coppell High School their whole lives if they've lived in Coppell. But the problem with that is, even right now, we built a new elementary school, and we have 11 or 12 elementary schools in the district now. And so, eventually, there's going to be a need for a new high school just because of all the incoming younger generations that are going to be going to high school soon, or eventually, because that was the whole reason that the CHS 9 Center was built, was because there was just too many people taking up space in Coppell High School.
That's the influx issue, really. And I guess that would be the pro, as in, okay, I go to Coppell High School, and that's maybe one of 3 or something, one of 4. I don't know how things will look like in 10 or 12 years or even more, but watch these schools not have the same amount of student population, same amount of student body. So I guess it would be a pro for them, but we're talking a long-term thing here.
Another question is that that kind of brings into is, if we have 2 high schools or even 3 high schools, what do we do with CHS 9? Does every incoming freshman go to CHS 9, but then they, the friends that they made at CHS 9, one of them is going to, the main Coppell High School, and then somebody else is going to the second Coppell High School? It's kind of well, what do we do with that? As well as just where do we put, excuse me, where do we put a second high school? Because at the moment we have a lot of construction happening, and I feel like increasing construction would just not be very good for Coppell traffic and just for Coppell families in general, as well as just, where do we find the place to put it?
That's definitely food for thought.
All right, so then how do you guys think the new school-issued iPads have changed the learning process in each of your classes?
Ooh, I can talk about this for days. So pretty much in most of my classes, we don't use paper anymore. And the thing that struck me, I guess the most weirdest, was that in math class, we just don't use paper. We use Notability, we use Notes app within our iPads. But I also think that what facilitates this isn't necessarily the new iPad itself, but the Apple Pencil, because it just feels a lot more organic to write with an Apple Pencil than just kind of writing with your finger, or just a stylus in general, because the Apple Pencil was made by Apple to work with their iPads and their other Apple products. So I think that's why it just feels so nice, and it feels okay, I guess you would say.
Yeah, I feel like that's the main reason that teachers are incorporating the iPads more, and that students are more willing to use them. It's because before, last year and years past, if you wanted to try to use Notability or do any writing assignment, something like that on the iPads, you'd have to use your finger, and that just, everything would not really look readable. It'd be inaccurate sometimes. It was just really a struggle to use with any app. But now that we have the Apple Pencils, it's just easier for teachers and students and everyone involved with it.
Personally, I tend to use my my own personal laptop in the majority of my classes, but I do like that, as you kind of discussed, the iPads are way more environmentally friendly because we aren't using as much paper. Most people either have, maybe their own iPad or the school-issued iPads or their own laptops. So we definitely seeing a shift towards being more environmentally friendly. At the same time though, however, constantly relying on technology can be really bad, because as we all have seen lately, there have been a lot of Wi-Fi issues at the school. So teachers who are building their lesson plans around the use of the iPad on such and such site, or just being able to do research projects, it's becoming really difficult. So while I don't think that, CISC should just throw away all technology, I think to a certain extent we might be becoming too dependent on constantly using technology. And so when unforeseen circumstances like Wi-Fi issues happen, we have to reroute our whole day, and sometimes students have to, I know especially for me, I've had to take work home that I was planning on doing in class, but I couldn't do because of Wi-Fi issues. But on the flip side, I really like that the main reason that the iPads were issued is because of our integrity problem. I've taken tests now on my iPad that I know, not that I would, but if I were to do it on my laptop, it would have been a lot easier for me to access answers, whereas on the iPad, I know that people can't do that. And as somebody who has, known people who have cheated on tests, that it kind of makes me angry, frustrated that they're being able to do that. I really like that we have something that it won't completely erase our integrity issue, but I think it will definitely help.
Yeah, and going on to your always on, always connected to Wi-Fi topic, I know of this product called the Boogie board, which is this. It looks like a board. It looks like a whiteboard, and you can write on it, but it has a button where you can erase everything that you just wrote. So it's a one-time erase function. I think that'd be super interesting to use in classrooms. I know it's not necessarily technology, as in it doesn't connect to Wi-Fi. It just has a power on switch. But I like the idea of having paper that is, or quote unquote paper that is reusable within the classroom environment, but it doesn't have to connect to Wi-Fi. You don't have to pull up Schoology and Notability. I just think it'd be a lot faster for teachers to just be okay, just use this, and we won't use paper, and we'll all be okay.
It's something like that would be a great idea to include in the classrooms. Just not having to rely on Wi-Fi that can be shaky in some places or just won't work in others. And yeah, it's just about finding that balance between incorporating technology into the classrooms and making sure people are aware of how to use it and stuff like that, but not that they're so over dependent on it that they won't be able to do work or do anything without it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I saw in my classes when we had Wi-Fi issues that, as Claire said, the class was shut down. And that's not fault of the teachers. That's not fault of the administration or even the school board or anything. It's the fault that just sometimes there's this over-reliance on, always connected devices that when we suddenly don't have it, their lesson plans get thrown in the dumps and they're left scrambling, and so are their students.
I agree.
Awesome.
So, for the next question, which parts, big or small, of Coppell do you believe still need work compared to suburbs such as Southwick, Flower Mound, or Grapevine?
This is gonna be funny. I think we severely lack a chicken place here at Coppell. So every time I go to Grapevine Mills, I almost exclusively visit Chick-fil-A. And this isn't because it's the closest to Grapevine Mills right now. I just really love Chick-fil-A. Like, they have quality food and it's cheap. And I keep thinking, why don't we have... Okay, we don't have Chick-fil-A. We don't have Babes. We don't have Cane's, Raising Cane's. We don't have Popeyes. Like, what's left?
It's a strange complaint, but also like a real one, just because everything around the school is mostly just like big name fast food places like McDonald's or Wendy's, with a few minor exceptions like J. Macklin's Grill. Just so we could use more like Coppell staples, or more, I guess, chicken places.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Around the area.
I'm a part of the Coppell, Texas Facebook page, and I probably see at least one post a day about Chick-fil-A. That's how obsessed we are with it. And I came from Irving, which is a very, very big town compared to Coppell. Whenever I say I'm from Irving, people are like, oh, are you from Las Colinas? Are you from South Irving? Are you from Valley Ranch? That's how big you have to clarify what part you're from. Whereas Coppell, you're just oh, I'm from Coppell. So it was very weird for me to come here and not have 5 Chick-fil-A's near me, or really any places. There isn't a mall here, although I know that by off of Denton Tap, they kind of close to Bethel Road, they are building some type of shopping center there. Mm-hmm. But I know that it's just really interesting for me to come to Coppell and not have all of these things that in Irving and other really big places like Carrollton, Grapevine, that are just there. And I would like there to be development of food places and shopping places, those types of things, because I feel with Coppell you constantly have to go outside of it to find those places. At the same time, though, I really like Coppell the way it is. I grew up in South Irving, and it's very, very different from Coppell. And it's a lot more safe. I never, coming to Coppell, I remember it was so weird for me to see, people walking around outside, because in South Irving, it just wasn't safe to do that. So I really like that Coppell it has that small town nature of it, so that it's a very safe place. It's a good place for CISD, and just to get education. So that is something that I really like about it.
Yeah, and I think Coppell does have its identity already. I think that you can distinguish a Coppell girl or Coppell guy from the rest, but it would be really awesome to see that growth, that development of food places, and just kind of get stuff that we've never had before. Maybe, I don't know, put them in Old Town, or put a Chick-fil-A near Sonic. That would be great. But I think that as years go on, we will see a stronger identity that is built within Coppell. Thanks to my co-host Camden. Special thanks to our guest Claire. Thank you all for joining us in the 23rd episode of the Penny Podcast. Links to the material we mentioned today can be found below, and we'll see y'all next week. Thank you.